So, hey y'all. Today I wanted to come on, and if you see me looking down, computer right here. So, I wanted to come on here and talk about something that I've really been noticing in particularly the black community, which is our obsession with blonde hair. Now, y'all gonna fight me, y'all go tussle real bad. Y'all are not gonna like this discussion because I don't know why, but you know how things go. But I want to talk about my theories and my thoughts on why blonde hair is becoming more popular in the black community and why you hear certain things like we have the Eve gene, we could have blonde hair, but other people can't have our texture of hair. So we are very aware that having 4C hair is rare. It's not rare to have 4C hair. Let me correct myself on that. It's very actually common to have 4C hair as a black person, Negro, whatever you want to call yourself. So what I feel is that we want these other traits and we want proximity to these other traits because we are tired of what comes with being black, which is if we have dark skin, we have more melanin. 9 times out of 10, we're going to have more melanin everywhere. And yes, we do have black people with blue eyes, etc., etc., etc. But you have to think about these things. So I'm just going to break this down into a few main talking points in podcast style for y'all because I just wanted to come on here and show my face. And if you guys don't like what I'm saying, don't get in my comment box, my comment section, fussing and trying to fight and all that. Like, relax. Come on, it's just a discussion. And if you're not open to hearing other opinions, and if you can't insert your opinion respectfully, then this ain't the place for you, sweetheart, because this is the place for people that know how to be patient with themselves and are not in a rush to go argue and fuss in somebody's comments. Thank you. So hey guys, I'm back with another video. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you're a returning user. I'm Nai Sashay. I want to talk about something that I've noticed in our community. I'm going to call it the Marilyn Monroe effect. When you look at the white doll versus the black doll test, also known as the doll test, it is a psychological experiment designed to measure children's attitudes towards race and racial identity. It was first conducted by psychologists Kenneth and Mamie Clark in the 1940s as part of their research on the effects of segregation on African American children's self-perception. In the test, children are presented with 2 dolls, one black and one white, and they are asked a series of questions to assess their perceptions on the doll's attributes, such as which doll they prefer, which doll looks nice and which doll looks pretty, which doll looks ugly and which doll looks mean, which doll would they like to play with. The test aims to uncover any biases or preferences children may have based on race. And based on the results of the doll test, widely cited as evidence of negative impact of racial segregation and discrimination on children's self-esteem and racial identity. In many instances, African American children have been found to exhibit a preference for the white doll over the black doll, associating positive characteristics with the white doll and negative characteristics with the black doll. The doll test played a significant role in a landmark of Brown v. Board of Education Supreme Court in 1954, which ruled that racial segregation in public schools was unconstitutional. The findings of the doll test provided empirical evidence of the harmful effects of segregation on children. African American women bought into the lie, just like everyone else, of the story that blondes have more fun. And this is something that you have to think of. Blondes have more fun. What type of perception was this leaving in the brains of black people all over who already has self-esteem issues, as you could see from the doll test? If we can't even look at a black doll and think positive thoughts, what are we going to think when Miss Carol running around talking about blondes have more fun? And then even when you look inside the lives of white people themselves, let's be for real. So many arguments based on blonde hair. So many arguments based on you're not a real blonde. your hair looks dirty, your hair is more brown than blonde, you're a brunette, you're not a blonde. So much back and forth.
Blondes or brunettes? Blondes. Oh, blondes across the board?
All the way.
What's the reasoning?
Dude, blondes just know how to do it.
So they're having their own internal conflicts, and we are picking up on this. During the era of slavery, hairstyles and grooming practices of black women underwent significant changes as their identities were altered by the oppressive system. On some plantations, slave women were prohibited from wearing anything but scarves, a mandate enforced by certain southern states to distinguish them from free black women. Headscarves became symbols of low status and destitution. Black hair was deemed unattractive by white society and internalized by some within the black community. The dichotomy of good hair versus bad hair was exacerbated by the overt rivalry between house slaves and field slaves. Straight and fine hair became associated with whiteness, which was idealized and thus set as a standard of beauty within black communities. Now, I want people to realize that these house slaves, they had this texture of hair that was seen as more beautiful. Why? Because many house slaves were getting raped by the slave master. And this was obviously causing I feel like they were being pit against each other because it was a divide and conquer. So I feel like it was a divide and conquer type thing, and they really just wanted the field slaves to believe that they were getting more attention, they were getting better living circumstances, even though they were being fetishized and sexualized for being closer to whiteness and looking more like their grapists. So yeah, type. So hair that was deemed as acceptable to be shown during the era of slavery was often conformed to Eurocentric beauty standards. Hairstyles that was more than likely to be uplifted was ones that was more Eurocentric, which was more likely to be obtained if you had Eurocentric genes, aka you were being raped by a slave master or someone in the family. Features that were often given like praise were having sandy brown. Someone decided to be blow drying their hair while I'm doing my video, but don't mind that, y'all, like, please. So features that was often praised was sandy blonde hair, blue eyes, curly hair, and loose and wavy hair, which we know does not reflect the natural diversity of black hair. We know that reflects one side of the diversity of black hair. Blonde hair, as mentioned, is primarily determined by genetics. So with lower levels of eumelanin and higher levels of faux melanin, resulting in lighter hair hues. Historically, the first Africans brought from Africa were more likely to have darker hair and darker hair hues. This was because this is reflecting their background and their origins from regions which were warmer. Descriptions from that time often categorized them as having dark, curly hair which aligns with genetic traits associated with higher levels of eumelanin. While it's true that genetic variations can occur within populations, the prevalence of blonde hair and blue eyes is much lower among monoracial black people in comparison to those of European descent. Therefore, using the presence of blonde hair traits among African Americans as evidence of genetic diversity overlooks the broader context of historical and societal influences on the beauty standards and the perceptions of racial identity. Melanesians, for example, have a distinct genetic ancestry shaped by their geographical location. The term Melanesia derives from the Greek words melaz, meaning black, and nesia, meaning island, referring to the dark complexion of the native people. Despite their shared melanin-rich skin, Melanesians exhibit diverse genetic variations that contribute to the range of hair colors, including shades of pale yellow, golden, and even platinum blonde. These variations stem from genetic adaptations influenced by the region's hot climate and factors such as the melanocortin-1 receptor MC1R gene, known for its role in determining hair color, Additionally, exposure to sunlight can further affect hair color through a process called photobleaching, particularly in regions with prolonged and intense sunlight exposure, which Black Americans like to compare ourselves to, which we are genetically different based on the geographical location that we are living in. We are not in Melanesia. The sun here is nothing like Melanesia, and we just don't have the genetic predispositions to have a whole culture of people who are melanated who come out with blonde hair. That's just not here. I'm sorry, baby. It's in Melanesia, it's in Asia, it's in Fiji, it's in all these places. But here it's more rare because of where we are. We are above the equator in the north, or Western civilization. So, take it how you will. The fascination with quotes like "blondes just want to have fun" and iconic movies like Clueless and Mean Girls and figures like Barbie and Marilyn Monroe runs deeper than just simply a perceived association with genetic predisposition for blonde hair. Rather, it stems from the identification Black women find with the characters and the personas these symbols represent as women. Even the most antagonistic characters are often held to a Cinderella-like standard. Think Regina George, showing a desire for empowerment and recognition from white femininity. That's deep, y'all. And during the 20th century, all these feminist movements sprung up. All these Barbie dolls was getting made. Go to work, girl. Go do your thing. That was fighting really based on work discrimination and equal pay. Yet Black women, what was we getting? Dimes, pennies, nothing. Like, if white women weren't getting nothing, we were really getting nothing. And were they fighting for our feminism during that time? I think not, because Margaret Steiner, the lady that made Planned Parenthood, yeah, that's what she was doing. While all this was going on, feminism, getting their heads knocked between the refrigerator and the stove, like, all this was going on, what she had on her mind was like, Black women shouldn't be having Black babies anymore. And we see this type of rhetoric coming back today. So let's talk about why we want to involve ourselves so bad in white people politics. Why, when a Barbie movie came out this year with that modern twist on it, all of us popped out with our blonde wigs as if we are like on the same playing field. We would never be on the same playing field. Like, these people had a separate book for our laws. Yet, do you see? And if we saw this, we would probably be disgusted and disturbed, but we don't see white people popping out with their 4C hair when Black Panther came out. And if we saw that, like I said, we would probably be disgusted. We don't want to see that. So why is it that we took it upon ourselves to pack up their movie theater with their movie with blonde hair? Like, is it a show? Is it a fashion show? Didn't your parent tell you life ain't no fashion show? Like, why is everything a dress up game to y'all? You have all these excuses on why it's okay. How about we just put out an image of Black people that represents us better? Period. Like, we would want to see Black people in our natural states with our natural hair. If we had an image out there that represented us how y'all are getting represented. But that's our fault, because we don't own anything. We don't own our media stations. And y'all could come here with that 1% of people that still don't own no media stations, that still don't own nothing. So when we even do want to come out and voice our opinion and say how we're thinking and say how we're feeling, guess what? Who owns the media station? Who owns the news station? Who owns the internet? Who owns these apps? Like, everything that we want to say will always be clocked by someone else, because we don't own anything important. With your real estate license, that isn't going to get us ownership, building our own good representation. And we can't look to other people to give us good representation, because they obviously don't do it. They haven't been doing it. They've never done it. So why look to them to go do it when we can clearly just get it done ourselves? You have more small YouTubers on YouTube here trying to actually give us good representation than people that's actually in the media. So let's talk about that. Let's clock that. But that's gonna be my last everything I really have to say on this topic. Let me know what you guys think. If you agree, if you disagree, keep it respectful, keep it cute, and don't forget to watch my other videos. Subscribe to my Patreon because we're going to be talking about so many other things you guys don't even know. I have so much planned for you guys, and thank you all for your love and support. Never ending, for real. Like, y'all rocks with me, I rocks with y'all. Y'all smart, I'm smart. I love what we have growing here. So thank you guys so much, and I'll catch y'all in the next